She thought she was just serving breakfast, but that simple act of kindness would change her life forever. Every morning, Clara refilled the same coffee cup for an old woman who sat by the window, never knowing that the woman was watching her far more closely than she realized. But one day, instead of the old woman, 4 bodyguards and a lawyer walked in. What happened next would leave the entire diner speechless and teach everyone that kindness never goes unnoticed. Stay with me. This story will break your heart and then heal it. Rain streaks down the diner windows every morning at 7 a.m., but Clara always arrives first. She ties her apron, tucks her hair behind her ear, and forces a smile that never quite reaches her eyes. Her life is an endless loop of pouring coffee, wiping counters, and counting tips that never cover the bills. Yet, when the old lady in the gray coat enters, Clara's smile softens into something real. Mrs. Moore always orders the same thing: oatmeal with honey, black tea, and 1 slice of buttered toast. She never rushes. She sits by the window, gazing at the world as if searching for someone who isn't coming. They don't talk much at first. "Good morning, ma'am," Clara says. "Morning, dear," comes the reply. But over weeks, those words turn into small warmths. Jokes about the weather, a compliment about the coffee, gentle concern for Clara's tired eyes. Clara learns Mrs. Moore once had children who rarely visited. Mrs. Moore learns Clara's mother has cancer, and her father left long ago. Neither judges the other. Their silence feels safe. For both, those 10 minutes each morning become something sacred, proof that someone still sees them. Then, one morning, Mrs. Moore doesn't come. The diner feels wrong without the old woman. The booth by the window is empty, the teacup untouched. Clara tells herself maybe the rain kept her away. By noon, she's glancing at the door every few minutes, half expecting to see that gray coat appear. 3 days pass. On the 4th morning, as Clara wipes the counter, a black car stops outside. 4 suited men step out, followed by a woman in a tailored navy coat. The air thickens as they enter. "Are you Clara Reynolds?" the woman asks. Clara blinks. "Yes. Is something wrong?" The woman smiles faintly. "I'm Marjorie Klein, Mrs. Adeline Moore's attorney." Time slows. Clara feels her chest tighten. "Is she—" "She passed away last week," Marjorie says softly. "She spoke very highly of you." Clara's throat closes. The din of clattering dishes fades. She was just a customer," she whispers, though she knows that isn't true. The lawyer places an envelope on the counter. "Mrs. Moore left specific instructions. She said you'd know what this means." The 4 bodyguards remain still, their presence surreal in the small diner. Clara opens the envelope with trembling hands and finds a handwritten letter and a key. Clara can't read the letter right away. She hides it in her apron pocket, afraid of what it might say. The idea that this wealthy stranger thought of her in her final days feels too heavy, almost wrong. That night, she sits by her mother's hospital bed, staring at the key. Her coworker, Lewis, teases her gently. "Maybe she left you a mansion." Clara shakes her head. No one gives away something like that just because you poured their coffee. But the next morning, curiosity wins. She reads the letter in the diner's empty booth. "My dearest Clara, you reminded me what kindness feels like when no one else cared to remember. I once had everything and lost it through bitterness. You, my dear, gave me peace in my last months. The key belongs to the house on Hawthorne Hill. I want you to have it, not as payment, but as gratitude. With love, Adeline Moore." Clara's hands shake. She tells herself it must be a mistake or some cruel joke. The address is real. Everyone in town knows the Moore estate. She decides she can't go. She has work, bills, her mother. People like her don't step into mansions. But that evening, a black car waits outside the diner again. Marjorie Klein steps out of the car, calm and firm. Mrs. Moore insisted the transfer be completed in person. "You'll need to come with us, Ms. Reynolds." Clara protests, but curiosity and guilt twist inside her. She rides in silence as the car climbs Hawthorne Hill. The mansion looms, a relic of forgotten wealth. Inside, it smells of roses and dust. In the grand parlor, photos line the mantel. Mrs. Moore as a young woman, with a husband and children who look like strangers. Marjorie hands Clara a document. "The property and all assets within it now legally belong to you." Clara stares. "Why me?" The attorney's expression softens. "Mrs. Moore's children refused contact for years. You were the only one who sat and listened. That mattered more to her than blood." Overwhelmed, Clara wanders through rooms filled with portraits, books, and faded memories. In the library, she finds another note tucked inside a teacup. "Sit, dear. Rest. This home was cold for too long. Fill it with warmth again." For the first time in years, Clara cries freely. Weeks pass. Clara doesn't sell the house. She keeps her diner job but begins restoring the old home, one room at a time. She brings her mother there after discharge from the hospital. The old piano in the parlor plays again. Laughter fills the halls. Neighbors who once avoided the Moore estate now wave when they pass. Some evenings, Clara sits by the same window where Mrs. Moore once watched the sunrise, sipping black tea in her honor. Inside the study, she discovers Mrs. Moore's journals, stories of regret, loss, and love. Through those pages, Clara learns how much pain kindness can heal. The lawyer visits occasionally, bringing paperwork and gentle advice. Clara finds herself trusting her, even laughing. A bond forms, not just with Mrs. Moore's memory, but with the living world she left behind. And then one day, a newspaper headline shatters the peace. Moore family challenges will, claims waitress manipulated elderly widow. Reporters swarm the diner. Clara becomes a spectacle. Strangers whisper that she must have conned the old woman. Even her co-workers look unsure. Fear and shame crawl up her spine. Marjorie, now more ally than lawyer, urges her to fight. Mrs. Moore documented everything. We'll prove her intent. But Clara hesitates. What if they're right? Maybe I don't deserve any of this. One night she returns to the mansion alone, clutching the letter again. She whispers into the dark, "Why me?" The house creaks softly, as if answering. She opens one of the journals at random. Inside is a final entry, dated the week before Mrs. Moore died. "If the world ever question my choice, let them. Clara did what no money could buy. She cared. I hope she learns that compassion is its own inheritance." Tears spill down Clara's face. The next morning, she walks into court, not for wealth, but to defend the truth of kindness. The case lasts weeks. In the end, the judge upholds the will entirely. The Moore children storm out, but Clara feels no victory, only peace. Months later, the diner thrives again. Clara still works mornings, though now she owns the building. She hires struggling single mothers, pays fair wages, and keeps one booth reserved, always by the window, with oatmeal, honey, and black tea waiting. A small brass plaque rests on the table. In memory of Adeline Moore, proof that kindness never dies. As sunlight streams through the glass, Clara pours coffee for a new customer and smiles, this time all the way to her eyes. If this story touched your heart, don't let it stop here. Hit like to honor everyday kindness. Subscribe for more real emotional stories that restore faith in humanity. And share this video to remind someone that compassion still changes lives. Because sometimes the smallest act of kindness is the beginning of a miracle.